Yo, it's your boy WesTheTech here to bring you another one of my personal favorite tech tips to help you as an artist grow in your craft. Now, today we're going to go over 5 things you should know before buying beats online, all right? So if you're a recording artist who's looking into possibly buying beats online from BeatStars, Airbit, or maybe TrackTrain, then this is the perfect video for you, because in this video, I'm going to go over everything that you need to know about buying beats online before you make a decision that you may not be happy with the results afterwards. All right, now before I continue, I definitely want to let you guys know about my free music business checklist tool that's available to download off of my website right now. This is for any one of you guys who's looking into starting your own music business but don't quite know where to start. With this free tool, you can identify 3 things that you could do right away to start your own music business. So if you want to grab this free tool today, you can click on the link above. I'll also leave the link in the descriptions below, all right? Now, when it comes to buying beats online, I know that there's a particular stigma out there, especially when it comes to independent artists, right? To not buy beats online, right? Don't buy beats from YouTube, don't buy beats from BeatStars, and all of these different things, right? Now, for me personally, I understand where that comes from, but I will say that I'm not entirely against buying beats online. I, for one, have purchased beats online, and I don't think that there is a big issue with it as long as you know what you're getting yourself into. And that's the biggest part about buying beats online, because it's easy to just pay for the beat and get the beat and start making music with it. But if you don't know what the terms and conditions are to you actually getting that beat, then you could be subject to some heartbreak later on. And that's why I could understand why a lot of people don't like buying beats online. But what I decided to do is create this video so that you know the 5 most important things that you need to know before you actually buy a beat online, or to see if buying beats online is something that you even want to deal with. All right, so the first thing, and I'm just gonna jump right into it because it's quite a few things and I don't want to make this video too long. All right, so the first thing that you always want to consider when you're buying beats online is when it comes to the ownership of the beat. All right, understand that buying a beat online doesn't mean that you own the beat moving forward, because most of these places, when you are actually buying the beat, what you are actually doing is you are actually buying a lease, which means that you are buying the rights to use the beat for a song. You don't actually own the beat, right? Ultimately, the producer still owns the beat. You just own the rights to use the beat for a set amount of time, all right? Now, that's why it's called a lease, right? So it's not like a one transaction thing like, hey, I own this, I sold it to you, now you own it. No, I'm giving you, you're paying me to be able to use it, right? So understand that first and foremost before you move on to anything else, which means that that producer who created that beat, you can't just take that from him. Why? Because he created it, you did it. He already has it registered. It's already his. Again, he's just allowing you to use the beat, which means that his name has to be credited on the song. His name has to be a part of the song. You're not buying it from him. You're actually partnering with him to actually create a song, right? As long as you understand that point first, everything else will kind of fall in line and make sense from that point, all right? So that's the first thing, the ownership. Now, the second part of it is in direct correlation with the ownership, and that second part is royalties, all right? Who gets paid off of the music once it's released? When the streams are coming in, when all of these income is coming in royalty-wise, who gets paid? Well, because you are in partnership with the producer and you are collaborating with them, you actually have to split the percentage of the royalties that you get. Now, what's interesting in all of the different contracts out there when it comes to BeatStars, you know, terms and conditions or terms and contracts, same thing with the other ones, right? It literally lays out everything in the terms and conditions, in the lease agreement, because again, you're leasing the beat with them. And you will notice that in the leasing agreement, it's going to talk to you about royalties. And in the royalties, in most standard cases, when it comes to these websites, you are actually only entitled to 50% of the writing credits when it comes to the song that you are creating with that beat, right? Even though you wrote the entire song, Even though they just created the beat, they are entitled to 50% of the rights. They are also entitled to 50% of the publishing rights as well, right? So when you're buying a beat online from BeatStars and all of these different places, everything is going straight down the middle, 50-50. Now, typically when you're dealing with a producer outside of online or someone you know personally, this, that, and a third, those percentages vary. But when you're dealing with BeatStars and stuff, it is customary. It is by default 50-50, right? Which means that let's say you have 3 other artists on the song with you, right? You got 3 other features. You got to split between them your 50%. So let's just say you have another artist on the track, just to keep it simple, right? You and another artist, right? That 50% of yours, you're going to have to split it 25-25 while the producer keeps his 50%, because whoever you add onto it or whoever you want to split with, whether managers and everything like that, they get split from your piece of the pie. His stays the same at that 50% regardless, right? That is with every leasing agreement that you get with BeatStars and the others. So if that's something that you're not okay with, if that's something that you have an issue with, then you shouldn't be buying any beats online from BeatStars or any of those places, because you will see right there in the leasing agreement that it is a 50-50 split of, all right? Now, of course, you could always check the lease agreement before you actually purchase and things like that. But I'm telling you, by default, that's what it is. All right. So make sure that you guys understand that before you decide to actually purchase a beat from BeatStars and the other websites. All right. The third thing, which is just as important as the royalty that you have to consider when you are actually purchasing a beat, is that beat that you're purchasing is a non-exclusive beat for most cases, right? Non-exclusive means that producer can actually lease that same beat to multiple artists, to so many different artists, right? You don't have the right to use the beat by yourself, meaning that one beat, 6 to 20 other artists could be using that same beat for their own songs. A producer has a right to do that, and that right is in the leasing agreement because it is a non-exclusive, which means you don't exclusively have the rights to use the beat. Now, I do want to say that there is a caveat to that, because you can purchase an exclusive rights lease from a producer, from BeatStars and all of those different things. But usually you won't see the price right then and there. Usually you'll have to negotiate that with the producer themselves. Typically, when you're buying a beat off of BeatStars and stuff, you'll see the basic, you'll see the premium, you'll see like all these different ones. But then when you look for the exclusive one, you'll see that you can't just outright buy it. You actually have to contact the producer and negotiate with them, which means that the cost can be much more than what you're looking at when you're looking at just a basic lease or a premium lease or an unlimited lease. You get what I'm saying? So that's something that you have to understand as well, that if you're okay with other artists using that same beat to make their own songs, then you won't have an issue with buying beats online. But if you want all your beats to be exclusive and you don't want that beat to be used by anybody else, right? Then buying beats online may not be the best for you, because they're going to charge you an arm and a leg for the exclusive right. Versus if you meet somebody in person or you personally know a beat maker, you can negotiate a much better deal when it comes to having that exclusive beat, right? I have a couple of friends of mine who create beats. Every time they give me a beat, it's automatically exclusive, because they're not going to give it to anybody else because of the connection that we have, because of the agreement that we have individually, right? You're trying to do that with somebody online from BeatStars who gets a bunch of people to use that same beat. Imagine it from the producer's end. If I could lease this beat to 20 people, why would I just leave it exclusive for you when I could be making money off of all of these people rather than just making money off of one person? So if you want that exclusive, you're going to have to pay the cost for it, which is why sometimes you'll reach out to a producer and he'll be like, I want $2,000 for the exclusive. versus the basic lease is just $30. You get what I'm saying? These are things that you will run into buying beats online, and I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. All right. Now, the fourth thing that I definitely want you to make sure that you guys are aware of is that all of these beats that you're dealing with when it comes to buying beats online are non-transferable. Non-transferable meaning that you cannot give it to somebody else. You cannot give it to another artist. Let's say you're a record label and you buy the beat for yourself, right? You cannot pass that down to another artist. You can't do that. The names on the leasing agreement is who the agreement is tied to. When you are purchasing the beat, it's going to be your name and it's going to be the producer's name. That's it. You can't add anybody else as far as, now, okay, I'm transferring this lease to this person. You cannot do that. That lease is for you. It's catered to you, and you can't transfer it. You'll find that out as well. So let's say you have that beat for a while, and your friend really likes it, whatever the case may be. Doesn't matter. They can't use it. Sure, you could put them on the song or whatever the case may be, but as far as the rights to it, that is between you and the producer that you originally made the agreement with, all right? These are the four things that most people don't pay attention to when they're buying beats online from BeatStars and stuff like that, because all of this stuff is literally in the lease agreement that nobody clicks on and nobody reads. I, for one, always click on it and always read it. I'm very familiar with the terminology at this point because I've seen it so many times. You know, I've gotten my lawyer to look at it as well just to make sure that I understand it thoroughly, right? That's what you have to do as an independent artist if you want to buy beats online. You need to really investigate these listening agreements and understand them. They're not all the same, but there is a default way that they have that you'll see most of the time. They have it, the most common version of a lease agreement. You'll see that all the time, all right? And unless you're actually looking into it, you'll find other things, but that's something that you gotta look into, right? But ultimately, the last thing that I want to go over when it comes to understanding what you're doing when you're buying beats online is the type of license that you're getting. Whether you're getting the MP3 or you're getting the wave or you're getting the track outs or track stems, right? Because a lot of artists may not know the difference between those different things, right? Typically, you'll see the MP3 is usually the cheapest versus the other two, versus the waves and the track stems. Well, the reason for that is because the MP3, as a producer or a mixing and mastering engineer that I am, there's not much that you could do with the MP3, right? So let's say, you know, you record your vocals and you have the MP3. To mix and master that, it's gonna be rather difficult because with that MP3, there's not much that you could do to it, right? Think of an MP3 audio file as a burrito, right? When you have a burrito, everything's already compact together. Everything's already compressed, right? You can't just say, hey, let me just open this up and remove all the onions out of the burrito. You're going to destroy the burrito. The burrito is going to get really messy trying to remove those onions. And ultimately, you're going to have a mess. That's what an MP3 is. An MP3 is a compressed, condensed audio file, right? It's everything squeezed together and tighten it. So you can't really do much to it. That's why it's always the cheapest when you're looking at a leasing agreement with or a licensing agreement with BeatStars and everywhere else, right? The one that you typically would want to go for is either the wave or the track stems, right? The wave files are better than MP3s because they're more loose, right? Think of a wave file as a burger, a really big burger with all the different condiments on it, but it's not like wrapped up like McDonald's, right? It's like you're at Fridays or something and you get a burger, right? With that burger, if you want to take out the lettuce, you could simply just take off the bun, right? Take off the tomatoes and take off the lettuce and put the other stuff back. You may still get a little residue of the lettuce, right? Or you may still get a little residue of the pickles that was on there. You may taste it a little bit, but ultimately you are able to take it out, right? That's essentially what you could do with a wave file. With a wave file, if you want to modify it a little bit, bring up maybe the drums a little bit more in the wave file, you could do that without harming anything else on the WAV file. You cannot do that with an MP3, right? That's why a WAV file is more expensive, and that's why the WAV file is really the lowest type of beat that you should purchase. Never get the MP3 if you're going to buy the beat. If you're going to buy the beat, just go for the WAV, because your mixing and master will depend on that WAV file. All right. Now, the third file, which is the most complex of the three, is the track stems. All right. The track stems is reserved for those who want the best mix and master possible. Right? Because with the track stems, you have full liberty to do what you want, right? So to go back to the burger example, what track stems are, is essentially a big table of all the ingredients separately. The buns are by themselves, the tomatoes are by themselves, the pickles are by themselves, the meat is by itself, everything is separate, and you basically get to build your burger from there, right? With that is the best type of file you could get, because let's say there's an instrument in the beat that you don't like. You cannot remove that from the WAV or the MP3, but you could simply remove that from a track stem, because all the tracks are separate. So you can remove certain instrumentation that you may not like, or you could change stuff around, or you can modify it. You really have full liberty to do whatever you want to that beat. The engineer who's working with you can do whatever he or she wants to that beat. That's why track stems are the most expensive between the three, right? But it's the one that's worth it when you know that you're going to be doing a lot of changes and a lot of switch ups and stuff, right? So I say, if you like the beat the way it is and you're not going to change it at all, get the WAV. If you want to remove instruments or fine tune it to perfection, get the track stems. And those are really the two that you want to shoot for. But ultimately, you need to know what type of beat or what type of file that you actually are trying to purchase, right? So you don't mess yourself up and buy the wrong one when you really needed another one. All right. So those ultimately are the different things that you need to look into, and that the things that you need to pay attention to when you're buying a beat online. All right, I'm gonna go over them again. Number one, you have to always remember the ownership, right? You do not own the beat, you are partnering with the producer. Number two, you want to always remember the royalties. The royalties are important. You will be splitting that 50-50. Number three, you must remember that it is non-exclusive unless you're buying an exclusive deal, right? Non-exclusive meaning other artists can use that same beat, right? Number four, you cannot transfer that beat to anybody else. And number five, you need to know what type of beat you're going to purchase, whether it's the WAV, the MP3, or the track stems. All right, but that's pretty much it, guys. That's what this video was about. I just wanted to make sure that you guys really know what you're getting into before you decide to buy beats online. And if you have already been buying beats online and you didn't know about any of this stuff, you need to go back and check out those leasing agreements, right? Go log back into your BeatStars, and you'll see the same place you click to get the to download the MP3. Right next to it is the leasing agreement. Go ahead and click on that, download that PDF, and definitely read it and take a look at it so you know what your rights are. When you are actually submitting your music to performing rights organizations, guess what? You have to put that producer's name in. And like I said, he has to give 50% of that. If you're not doing these things, but you're releasing the music and you're collecting from it, you could get in trouble really, really quickly, especially if a song blows. You get what I'm saying? But ultimately, make sure you guys are taking care of yourselves. Make sure you guys are paying attention to these things, and make sure you guys know what you're doing before you ultimately buy a beat online. All right. Now, before I let you guys go, I definitely want to let you guys know about my book here, The 13 Steps to Jumpstart Your Music Business. This is essentially for those of you who are sick and tired of working that 9-to-5 job and you just want to do music full time like myself, right? I've been doing music full time for years now, and I want the same exact thing for everybody who follows my channel. All right. But in order to do that, there are some steps that you have to make sure you do. I laid out all the steps that I did right in this book here. It's in paperback form. It's also ebook as well, right? So if you want the ebook, you can literally start reading it tonight. Either way, the link for that is in the bio below. Trust me, it's a great read. It's very, very important. And it's literally the thing that you need to set yourself up to be able to leave that 9-to-5 job. All right. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's what this video was about. I hope it really helped you understand what it means to buy beats online. I really hope that you understand that more. And of course, if you guys have any additional questions or whatever, please leave comments in the comment section below. If you feel like I missed anything, go ahead and leave that in the comment section below as well, because I'm all about community and us sharing information with each other. All right, but that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
I'm feeling like David. Can't nobody slay me. I feel like Moses. Big Moses. Can't nobody hold me. I'm feeling like Daniel. Big Daddy. Can't nobody face me.